It is, man, weekend's almost over, Sunday already. Hey, we're going to talk about today is, I posted something about ankle training. And so what we're going to talk about is, all this stuff about training the ankle. And you go, can't do it. And I showed in the video what happens with the ankle when you make contact with the ground. And you're showing elite athletes. This is what happens. The ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes. All right. It is, man, weekend's almost over, Sunday already. Hey, we're going to talk about today is, I posted something about ankle training. And so what we're going to talk about is, all this stuff about training the ankle. And you go, can't do it. And I showed in the video what happens with the ankle when you make contact with the ground. And you're showing elite athletes. This is what happens. The ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes, ankle flexes. The greater impact, the more it flexes. And so you show this, and there's a reason why. Because you got this rotation happening at the tibia and the rotation happening at the foot. They're not the same rotations. So the ankle allows those movements to happen. Like any other coupler, they allow these things, the rotations to happen. So, and then some people say, I want to train ankle stiffness. And ankle stiffness, some people is the heel not dropping. Well, the heel will drop depending on where you landed on the foot. If you land on the front side of transverse arch, guess what? Good chance the heel will stay up. Land on the back side of transverse arch, guess what? It's a good chance the heel's going to drop no matter what you do. But it has nothing to do with the ankle. That's the whole problem. It has nothing to do with the ankle. It has nothing to do with the joint itself. It has to do with what you're doing. So when you see somebody, and what's funny is, most of the time, where's the weight at when people are doing these ankle stiffness things, these heel things? Where's the weight at? Over it. So what's going to happen? It's going to drop. It's just a lever situation. So you have this lever situation that's not conducive to what you're trying to do, but every time people go, I'm going to try it, you can't do it that way. You can't do it that way. You have a foot and you have a tibia. And in between these things are some connecting points. But you have a foot, you have a tibia, and they have their own life cycle. They have their own life to live, and they live their own life, But this connection between the two, these things between these two things, allows them to live their own life. And that's how you have to think about it. They're living their own life. And so to say you're going to train the in-between to control the life of these other two things, it doesn't work like that. You can do all the mobility boards you want to do. You can do all the toe raises you want to do, all the calf raises you want to do, all the isos you want to do. That ankle joint's still going to be that ankle joint. It's just that simple. And then once again, when you show elite athletes, high-level athletes moving about, yo, man, what's up? Where you been? So when you see these elite level athletes doing these movements, and it's not an ankle flexes and moves and drops and the heel drops and things happen, don't you once again, aren't you asking, like, how come they don't have a stiff ankle? Why me, Joe Blow, me, the common person, would want a stiff ankle when an elite athlete doesn't have a stiff ankle? So, and you see this all the time, but once again, I don't know why people are not asking more questions. Like, and at the same time, they say, I'm training to be a better athlete. Well, the good athletes don't do that. So how you train to be a better athlete when the really good athletes don't do that? But it's a weird thing that we always look to exercise something, and it doesn't need to be exercised. If you're moving about, your ankle's fine. It does what it does. It allows the foot to do its thing. It allows the tibia to do its thing. It allows the knee to do its thing. So you got these things that are moving, these bones that are moving, and these joints allow us to do the things that we do. So it's always weird to me when I see these videos and nobody's asking the question like, wait a minute. And then they tell you what, elite athletes doing it wrong. They got they genetic freaks. No, that's not. They're going to get hurt. So that is the whole thing, like I said. And the guy asked me the question about, you saying this is bad. I didn't say it was bad. I'm just saying that you can't do it. and you can try to train it, but it's not going to train anything. That's all I'm saying. You can try and train that ankle to stiffen up as much as you want to, but it's not going to work. And the thing about it is, too, at this point in time, what is the person doing? They're in this static position. They're in this static position. When at some point in time, they got to move. And when they move, guess what? All that training went out the door. You know? And that's still why, like I said, it's funny when people say that same thing. All moves rotational. Then they try to kill a rotation. If all moves rotation, why are we training so much to kill rotation? Basically saying you don't want to move. And basically you're not moving. You're standing in one spot. You're doing a toe raise. You're not really moving. You're just there, you know. And then when you move, all of a sudden you wonder what happened, you know. What happens with the foot and how the foot moves on the ground is dictated by the ground. Ankle can't stop the ground from pushing your foot up, back, you know. It can't. What does it have? What does the ankle have to affect any type of movement? Does it have a muscle? Does it have a nerve? Yeah. So what is going on that we always want to look for these things. So, but that's the topic of the day is you can't train the ankle, people. You can't. You call it what you want to call it, but it ain't training the ankle. You know, I mean it's not a pet. You can't train it. So, like I said, and we see things in running where the heel doesn't drop, and that's what people call ankle stiffness too. The heel doesn't drop, and the heel doesn't drop because of where the weight shift is. The weight is far enough because it's a lever. The weight's so far in front that it won't drop. But if the weight gets behind it, guess what it's going to do? It's going to drop. No matter how hard you try not to let it, it's going to drop. You know, and then like I said, you see these athletes run. I mean, like I showed an elite long jumper, and when he took off, what happened? You see the ankle just flex. Wasn't stiff, but why did it do that? If it was stiff, he wouldn't be an elite long jumper anymore. He wouldn't. So yeah, questions, comments, agree, disagree. You know, but like I said, I know we just like we like exercising so much. We'll exercise. You know, I'm surprised nobody has nostril exercises. Train your nostrils. I'm surprised it's not happening. Train your ears. I'm surprised, you know. I'm surprised it's not, you know. And why we only pick certain joints. Nobody ever says train the thumb joint to be stronger, be stiff. Nobody ever says train the elbow joint to be stiff. You know. Nobody says, hey, I'm going to train my shoulder joint to be stiff. I'm going to train my knee joints to be stiff. I'm going to train my hip joints to be stiff. You know, I'm going to train my toe joints to be stiff. But somebody get to the ankle, all of a sudden people say, I'm going to train this to be stiff. Why? Why does it need to be stiff? Why? You know, what's funny is when you sprain an ankle, what does it do? What happens when you sprain your ankle? All of a sudden it doesn't do what? You know, so if you don't want movement there, guess what? Sprain it. You won't have any problems anymore. But that is a strange thing to me, that we want to train this thing that can't be trained. You know, that's the same thing. You know, people like taking, the lion. Let me train this lion to be a house pet. Let me take this bear and make it a house. We like doing stuff like that for some strange reason. And ankle will be in that category. I'm going to take this lion and I'll make it a house pet. And then we get mad when it don't act right. You know, when we seen it when the animal attacks the trainer and people get mad, like, yeah, it's a wild animal. So, questions? Anybody agree, disagree? You know, but like I said, I know we like doing these, like I said, we like exercising more than we like performing. It's amazing, you know, that we really like to exercise more than we like to actually go out there and perform. You know, if you went outside and played basketball, that's way more stress around that joint than standing on a wobble board. And way more stress. You know, if you go run, way more stress than doing toe raises. You know, so the biggest thing is go outside and play, people. Go outside, you know, jump on a rock that's not flat. And watch what the ankle does for you. You know, Jump off something 5 feet high, hit the ground, watch what the ankle does for you. Still tell me if you want this thing to be stiff or not. You know? Go climb a tree and see what the ankle does for you. You know? Go climb a fence and see what the ankle does for you. But it's one of those things where, you know, like I said, we love to exercise. Just people go outside and play. You get so much better results. So much better results. You know? But yeah, it's an amazing thing. Ankle is a connection point between the tibia and the foot. That's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing special going on there. It allows those things to rotate. Oh no, I gotta do something real quick.